Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics. Right, Sam, I'm here, mate. I've got my tea. I'm ready to go.
Sorry, Drew. I was just getting the bare essentials. Just grabbing myself a pint. So
Stuff, lovely.
How you doing, mate? How are you? How are you bearing up, Drew?
I've had a good week, thank you, Sam. Thank you very much. Yes, I've had a long week, but it's been a good week, thank you.
I mean, I'm surprised you haven't commented. See, I've had a shave because with the beard, it was getting a little bit grizzly. You know,
Yeah.
the beard. It was,
Yeah, very well done. No, see, if you're listening to this, you're going, "What the hell is he talking about?" If you're watching this, you can see me smiling knowingly because, okay, Sam, I'll hold my hands up. Listeners, viewers, the past week I have been not every day, thankfully, but I have been playing a character called Barton Bear. I spoke about our events coming up over the half-term holiday for children. And we've had some events running at our Watermill venue, and I've been playing Barton Bear because the Watermill is near Barton le Clay in Bedfordshire. So we created this little character called Barton Bear, and I've been wearing a very large, very heavy, very furry, very sweaty bear skin for 3 days this week. So there we are. Get it out of your systems,
mate. No, it was entertaining, but it's fine. But I do not envy you at all. I mean, it's been so warm. I mean, being inside that costume, you must have been wishing for polar temperatures.
I'll let you have that's the last one. That's the last one.
Okay, I'm stopping, honestly. But
it's been good fun to do, but yeah, it was hot and sticky. But we've had a lovely week. We've had some lovely events, and it was It's,
and I tell you what, so we're obviously a day or two before people know that we're recording in advance, but this episode comes out on a Sunday, and it's an unbelievable Sunday. It seems strange, Drew, and I don't know how it's possibly happened, but the Sunday that this episode is coming out,
yes,
the following day is a Monday, but it's not a bank holiday. When is the last time we had a Monday that wasn't a bank holiday? I don't remember.
I know. I mean, this month particularly, it's crammed with bank holidays. It's ridiculous. And of course, they're bank holidays that most performers, and we've said this in the past, don't get a chance to enjoy.
No,
because we've been working. Yeah, and myself in a bearskin. So there you go.
Oh, just imagery and yeah, no. But
anyway, I know.
As you say, bank holidays have tended, and we mentioned this in a previous episode, and in our social media, we may have banged on about it quite a lot, but mainly find that bank holidays and other holidays tend to find actors even more busy than normal, or certainly a lot of them working. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm going for a segue, Drew, because we are lucky enough today to be joined by a guest, wonderful lady joining us today. But it's a bit of a shock that she's joining us because she is literally so busy that I can't believe we've managed to find a gap in between her schedule to get her onto the show to chat to us.
It's true.
So incredibly lucky. And actually what makes it potentially even more interesting or impressive that we've managed to book her is because her time is not busy just because of all the film work. She does so much film work and other things in the industry, but equally because of her other main interest, shall I say, or I was going to say hobby. That sounds really bad. It's not a hobby. It's
not a hobby.
There's a career in it, or there's certainly an element to that. But so she combines the two. Yeah, still managed to find a little bit of time to join us on Drewling Samantics. And seeing as she's managed to find that time for us, I think it would be rude to keep her waiting any longer. And
I agree. Let's do it. Let's do it, Sam.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, here is our special guest. And there she is, the European champion, the incredible action heroine, the wonderful Miss Hannaj Bang Bendz. Welcome to Drewling Samantics. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's absolute pleasure. Now, Hannah, we have only really just met. So I mean, I know an awful lot about you because I've done my research. And you are a delight to research and a delight to meet. But can you give us a little introduction for me and the viewers and listeners of who is Hannaj Bang Bendz? Where do you come from? What do you do? Delight us, please.
Okay, so yeah, I'm Hannaj Bang Bendz. I am an actress, martial artist, I'd say, and I do some writing. I've done producing, but generally, mainly, I act and I fight, and that's what I love. Yeah.
I love that. I act and I fight. That's no way to
Yeah.
And good night.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple. So yeah, I mean, Hannah, we met years and years ago through mutual theatre friends, and then went on to do a little bit of work, some corporate work and some role play stuff. But it seems since I last saw and worked with you that your career has just exploded, and I actually mean that in more ways than one, because you've exploded in your success and in the amount you're doing, but equally, you don't seem to be far from an explosion on screen most of the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Some kind of crazy fight scene with so many things going on. So I guess one question that I'd like to ask: what really came first? Was it the love of acting? Was it the love of sort of martial arts and things like that, or were they side by side always?
I guess they were always side by side, really, because I mean, I've always loved acting. So when I was young, my sister and I, we used to, enact scenes together. We used to, watch scenes from films like, I don't know, Robin Hood, Men in Tights, great film, and replay those scenes as different characters. And we had a camcorder back then, and so my mum would record it, and it was just that was like from very young. We just loved doing that. But then as a kid, I was always like up climbing trees and running around and jumping and throwing myself into I loved mud. Like I was happy like doing that. So I kind of like merged them together. And I used to play still play computer games, but like back say in the 90s when Tomb Raider came out. Like I love playing Tomb Raider, and I was like, I love playing this, but I want to do it. Like I actually want to do that. So yeah, and like Resident Evil and stuff, those games and films, like they really made me think, how do I do that? Okay, I'll go into the film world and do it. So yeah, and that's how it
makes it sound very, very simple. I mean, very easy, and it isn't. I mean, it takes an enormous amount of work, and you work incredibly hard. I mean, to combine the two. I mean, you mix martial arts. That ain't easy. That takes a lot of work and a lot of training. I mean, it just impresses with how much and how hard you do work. I mean, it must be extraordinary. To stay I mean, we'll talk more about the sheer, your successes sports wise, but working in movies and keeping yourself up, you've got to be at the top of your game all the time.
I mean, for those kind of roles, really, yeah, you have to keep working at your kicks. The different movies, they'll sometimes require different things. Like some of them want more jiu-jitsu than or more kicks or more just stunts and other stuff. But yeah, you got to keep at it just to be physically fit enough to do it as well.
Yeah.
Like in I Am Rage, film we did in Scotland last year, it was an intense shoot. There was a lot of action every single day. I was basically having a workout pretty much the whole day. It was just constant. Even as I was eating my lunch, I was being told I need to go and do some choreography for the next scene. So it was, I physically couldn't quite eat enough to maintain my weight. Like I was trying, and they're giving me food, but I had to keep moving so much that But they told me beforehand it was going to be like that, so I prepped extra before that role just to make sure that I was going to be able to meet the physical requirements. But it's fun. So it's literally what I want to do. So
that obviously comes across from your demeanor and the way you talk about the things you've been involved in. You're clearly hugely passionate about it, and you've been able to, or lucky enough or skilled enough to be able to combine your two kind of main loves. You talked about Iron Rage, so that's set for release. Is it later this year, or is that next year, the release?
August 1st this year it's coming out.
This year.
Yeah.
And give us a bit more info about that, because that is you say that's probably one of your most intense roles to date. Very, very action heavy.
Yeah, very exciting. So it's set around this blood cult that harvests people's adrenaline blood, adrenochrome, to keep themselves young. And one of the members brings my character back to his family home to try and take my blood, but they don't know that my character has a history of intense rage. So she just goes nuts and kills them all. Oh, well, kills a lot of people.
Spoiler alerts, yeah.
Actually, yeah, that could happen. But yeah,
that's the girl to take home to mother, isn't it? That's the girl.
She's like such a nice person. Yeah. So that's that one. Like action horror. I tend to get cast in a lot of action horror, I guess, because that's what I love. But like my characters also tend to be quite intense and you know, sort of dark. But all the BTS shots, I'm like laughing my head off. I'm a happy person. it's like an outlet. But, yeah.
So it's very much sort of switch it on for the cameras and then off screen, which I believe, if you weren't actually a martial artist, if this was just, oh, I'm an actress, I'm acting as this sort of fighting, but you do that outside of it.
yeah, with a smile on my face.
Which must be terrifying for your opponents if you're coming at them with kicks and punches and God knows what else with a big grin on your face.
Do you know what? In certain martial arts, like it's in jiu-jitsu, a lot of people go there, you know, they do jiu-jitsu, and it's tough and it's grueling, but it actually really, it makes them happy. Like, and everyone's happy, you know, everyone's like rolling happy with each other, choking each other out, you know, nearly breaking each other's arms, but in a respectful way. And it's it's a really, I love it. I really love it. It's addictive.
So, I mean, you're a mixed martial artist. So what, give us a list, give us a rundown of what do you, is the right word practice or you know, I don't know, training, whatever.
So it's been recently mostly Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm getting my belt. But Muay Thai, kickboxing, bit of Kali, what else is there? I'm trying to think now. Kung Fu. Did some Kung Fu. I started off doing some Kung Fu for a film. I was taught by a guy called Roy. He's great. And I did it recently for Wrath of Dracula as well, some Kung Fu. My character, that one's not supposed to know as much, but yeah, the bow staff as well. I love that. Weapons. I've done some, it's not martial arts, but obviously gun training as well. But I actually did an MMA fight for charity. This is years ago. It was no face contact though, so that's because obviously as an actor you're like,
yes.
Keep the money maker looking good. But
So no face contact, but you know you could throw people to the floor and you know do all the arm breaks and slams and you know kicks. You just have to keep it like chest below. But yeah, that was a while ago, but that was fun. They changed the rules though recently. Well, after that, so that it was face contact. I was like, I don't know, I can, because if you do that, you're kind of out the game for at least a month. You get smacked in the face a lot. You know,
Yeah, so it's diary dependent essentially. If you can look ahead and go, oh, I'm not filming for another 4 weeks, you can take the risk and go, no, it's all right, I'll step into that one. But
well, I'm saying that I still get black eyes anyway from like jiu-jitsu and stuff. So you know, but it's a bit more controlled.
So and not, I mean, you talk about it as a passion and something you do, but I alluded to it right at the start. So you are actually currently European champion in
in my division.
Well, of course, there are certain caveats. I'm not suggesting that you've beaten the whole world just yet, but I believe that's on the cards. That's the plan, isn't it? To be number one.
Well, yeah. So the next competition, bunch of the guys from my gym are going to is the world's competition in for jiu-jitsu in Las Vegas at the end of August in September. So that's the plan, is to go to that. Just gonna raise the funds for it, but it's that'd be fun. It'd be really fun.
No, I mean that's that's not cheap. That's not easy. I mean, you know, following one's passion, as we know, is that, I mean, does that affect you? You have to take a chunk out of filming. You have to take a chunk out of work and go, and presumably you're hyping up the training for that. I mean, because, you know, this is we're not pulling our punches here. We haven't got a director saying cut and a lovely fight choreographer saying, okay, Hannah, duck there, no, cut there, whatever. This is full on. You've got to be well prepped for this.
Yeah.
Where are you in training now? Will you start training for that soon?
I just come back from Cannes, so but I will go back to training, yeah. And then but the months, I mean, at least 2 months, but the month, especially leading up to it, it's intense training. You go, you know, you train like twice a day. You try, like coach said, try and get at least like 10 really hard rounds in per day. Which is like 6-minute rounds. I mean, if you've done jiu-jitsu, it's like that's it wears you out. But the more you do it, the more you can do it, and actually, like your body changes as well. So my hands change. Like when I train really intensely jiu-jitsu, my fingers get thicker. I met a guy in Cannes who also did jiu-jitsu. I think he does Japanese jiu-jitsu actually, but he was surprised. And I said, "Oh yeah, I do jiu-jitsu and I did Euros and stuff." And we were swapping business cards, and he saw my hands. He was like, "Oh no, I can tell you jiu-jitsu." Those hands. I was like, they used to be really dainty, and in between they go down again. But like when you're training, they you know, because you have to grip really hard. So and your forearms get really, you know, get sort of pumped and get veiny. I sound like the Hulk, but
you're making it sound really attractive.
It's so pretty. But you feel healthy, you feel great, you know. So yeah.
And does that do you have to, when you're on a period of filming, for example, do you then have to schedule in training around that, or do you find that to some extent that filming, because I'm assuming here, if you're doing a fairly physical action role, does that supplement in a way? Do you find that you can ease off the training because of the amount of physical activity you're doing on a set?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously it depends on the intensity of the action that they need on set. So say for the Wrath of Dracula, there was less intense training needed for that, less intense fight scenes. So in between, I was, you know, having to make sure I kept my training up. I like to do Pilates in between as well. Like Pilates works really well with sort of resetting your body after a lot of training. Just keeps it all, I don't know, ticking over nicely, stretching things out. And I can do that anywhere. But yeah, in between I have to make sure. But then like Brian Rage, I didn't have to because it was just so intense. You know, that was the workout. But yeah, generally.
What attracts you to a role? Would you look at a role and go, or you think, oh, that's full on action, great, fantastic, or do you look at something and go, no, that's less action there, that's more, you know, more me or less me, or I can, you know, what gets you into a role? What really excites you about a role?
I guess the action does really, like, I mean, if I see sort of castings for action roles and like tough roles, I think, oh, I can do that one, and I feel like I have a little bit of an edge on that, because it's very competitive world, the acting world, and there's so many girls that can do just the drama, and they can do, you know, most of them do loads better than me. So, but the action side, that's a niche that I have, that I've been working on since I was little. So, you know, I work with that, and yeah. So, but I do still like looking at the drama. You know, I like looking at troubled characters as well. But then I've done some comedy. Actually, I did a film called Dream Hackers 2 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, and that was a completely different character. That was she was quite ditzy actually. She's really fun, absolutely, like great fun to play, but completely different to anything I usually tend to do. So yeah, I don't just go for the action roles. They do just sort of, you know.
I guess in a way in our industry, you can become typecast, and I don't mean that necessarily in a negative way. What I mean by that is you play to your strengths, and you will look at certain things and go, that absolutely makes sense. And equally, when I'm applying for that, or when I can prove that I've either done that before, or that is something that I will not struggle with, and that will give me a leg up over other people who are attempting to land that role. But we equally love that bit of variety. I love throwing something in there that is so against the grain, or so it doesn't have to be out of the comfort zone, but just something a little bit different, something you haven't done for a long time, or you've only done a little bit of. And I think that's one of the powerful things about the performance world, is that we are lucky enough to have the facility to do that at times, and equally to chase those alternatives, or those options, or those things that we haven't done or haven't done much of. So I think it's nice to have that. Do you get to a point where you're like, right, now I do need to throw something in just to make my mind go somewhere else for a bit, or can you quite happily just keep the action roles rolling in?
I like to keep the action roles rolling in, but like I think it gets to a point where you think, I want to push it, so it's not just this. You don't want to do just the same thing over and over again, because like anyone in any kind of industry, you then feel like you're stagnating a bit. So you want to do, yeah, okay, I can do this, but can I do this more, do this better, or but then, so that's why you sort of add to your skill set, I suppose. So even more options open up. And then you might decide that, okay, I don't particularly want to do that anymore. I want to do something else instead. Maybe I don't, not me personally, but maybe I don't want to like do gun rolls. I want to do much stuff with horses and learn, how to ride horses. I guess that's like a thing that happens as well. So
I mean, we have seen, and thank God, the female action hero is becoming a regular feature of movies, and it's been a long time. There have been a few in the past, but a long time. What do you think is the attraction of that for the movies now? Is it just because we've seen guys kicking shit out of guys for years? That's getting a bit dreary. I mean, I think maybe Lara Croft and those they've opened the doors. Do you think that's where it started, or do you think why is it?
So there's Ripley from Alien. She was the original.
I guess. Yeah, Ripley. Yeah.
Well, unless you're talking to Jennifer Lawrence or something.
Yeah. Okay.
But Lara Croft was one of the main. I think one of the main heroes or heroines for a lot of young girls, like not just me. So whether they played the games or watched the movies, it was like seeing a female do it. They're like, oh, girls can be strong too. Like girls can do this too. I remember, like as a girl, the things I used to do, like climbing trees, like boys would say, "Oh, it's not bad for a girl." And I was like, "What do you mean for a girl? Like, it's just I'm just doing the same things, like But that's not to say like women and men have their different strengths and weaknesses, whatever. But I think also maybe just watching a female do the action stuff can be sexier. I don't know, like, is it?
Yeah.
No,
I think you're absolutely right, and I mean, I think we're seeing a massive surge in things like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and although these characters have existed in comics and things like that for a long time, going back 10, 15, 20 years, they didn't get the opportunity to have that screen time in the same way. Yeah. Whereas now there are a lot more standalone female hero movies, and they're almost, but I say almost, sadly not, but to nearly at a point where maybe male and female heroes in movies are at the same level. I still think there is a disparity, and that's not necessarily a good thing, but I think perhaps we're still in an adjustment period, and it will even up more and more. We see that across the industry in various things, representation, whether that be based on sex, based on ethnicity, based on sexual orientation, whatever. But I think it's becoming far more open and far more equal. There's still a long way to go, but it is getting better. It sounds like a bit of a loaded question, but do you feel like a bit of an advocate to be able to say, yes, I am chasing all these roles and I am getting the opportunity to be a figurehead woman in these important leading action strong roles? Does that ever come into play in your mind when you're doing these things?
I guess because like I want to, I want 12-year-old me to be proud and be like, yeah, and like I want to be like her. That's the goal, isn't it? So if I can make like other 12-year-old girls be like, oh, yeah, that's job done. With regards to like all the more opportunities opening up, like I do think there's a lot more opportunities opening up, obviously for females to be doing this sort of stuff. I think sometimes I feel like it could be going a little not too far, but say when they want to bring in female James Bonds, that I just that seems like doing it for the sake of doing it. And I just think keep James Bond as James Bond, like make up another female character, like don't, otherwise what we're gonna have like a male Lara Croft. Like I don't just like
no, it's a debate that Sam and I have had a little while ago, and I was going to ask you, do you want to play James Bond? I mean, it was, but I think Sam and I have the same opinion. I mean, if you're going to create a role,
yeah,
don't we don't need Jemima Bond for we want James, and no, that's not laughable. That's a point there. We don't want Jemima Bond. We want James, and we want a proper Bond. That wasn't a flippant remark. Actually, that was a serious remark.
No, I completely agree.
We do want.
People would have gone for Jane rather than
yeah.
Okay, whatever. AJ, Jess, whatever her name is. But I mean, yeah, whatever. Okay.
Yeah. No, absolutely right. And I was going to say almost exactly the same thing, Drew, without realizing it, Hannah. You were almost stealing a conversation that Drew and I had months ago, where we said literally, why surely as and you can answer this because you are the target of this thing. I said I can't answer this honestly because I'm not in that position, but surely as a female actress who wants to chase these things down, you don't want recycled stuff. You want someone to go, I can see you doing something because of you, not because the blokes have finished with that and got everything out of it they possibly could do. It's about going forward, not just and actually we did an episode recently about reruns and reboots and things, and we weren't very positive about those either.
After a while you just think, oh my god, like
really? Do we need another one? Yeah.
So many new ideas out there, so many new creators out there with their wonderful ideas, and so it just seems that it's such a shame to just keep spinning and saying, oh, that made money back then, that made money, let's keep it. Just give something else a try. That could become the new like cult hit,
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, I don't want to be James Bond. I think he's great, and I think plenty of great male actors have played him, and we'll probably keep playing him. They'll adapt, I suppose, make him more modern, but leave it for the men, and let's give the girls some other characters.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So to mix it up a little bit, I'm going to ask you about something slightly different. Motion capture, which is a completely different world, and a lot of people may not have heard of it, or may have heard of it, but don't really understand it. How do you get into motion capture, and what was the fascination of that for you?
So motion capture, well, I think it really started with video games. So I know people that got into motion capture by doing specific courses and things. They were trained in motion capture first, and then they were hired based on their ability to motion capture. But I was brought in because a game company found my action reel on my casting website, and they messaged me and said, oh, we're looking for someone a female to do your height, to do the action choreography on set for one of the main female characters, because she's not fight trained. So would you come in and do it? I was like, yeah. And that was Dead Island 2, she just released. So that's how I got into it. I remember I coming into set, and I basically got trained on the job for that. And from that, like it spun into more jobs. But I wanted to do it when I was a kid because I thought it looked great. You could see all the characters. I think Avatar as well. They used it for Avatar, the very first one. And I wanted to be involved from that. And so yeah, I've got to be in computer games and done a few things in motion capture, and it's different to acting because you are even if your face is caught on camera, you don't have to worry about how you look you know, when you're on set, when you're actually on camera, but everybody's like fussing over you. You got to like pose in certain ways, but it doesn't. Like, there's so much more freedom in motion capture. It's really, I love it. I really love it. And I know most actors who've done it feel the same way. Sorry.
I guess the target with mocap is that it needs to be real, and it of course is real, and they're trying to then translate that to whether it's film, video game, or whatever. Trying to generate how an actual movement is made rather than going back 20, 30 years to things like Street Fighter and the original sort of computer games where it was all very much generated and repetitive movement. It's actually how your body moves across the board rather than just sticking a leg out to do a kick. Everything else moves and twists and whatever. So it's about that realism, isn't it? But for people that perhaps don't know, so this is essentially you get stuck in a onesie with lots of ping pong balls attached to you.
Dots, yeah. And if you have facial capture, sometimes you have like dots put on your face, or you get big contraption put on your head, which like after a while really hurts your neck, but that captures like your facial expressions as you're doing and saying things. It's all very and sometimes if you're working with other actors who, you know, obviously also have the ping pongs on them, it's all Velcro stuff. So as when we played zombies in Dead Island 2, we have to like collide into each other a lot. We'd all end up with like different parts of our bodies on each other. So like I had someone's knee on my shoulder blade or something because it messes up on the computer. So like all the it's quite yeah, who's got my hand? Yeah.
It's got my hand like that.
So, and just to add to that, and again, I sort of mentioned it earlier, also a theatrical background. So you went and you trained and you did acting as your training background and did some theatre. Do you get the chance now, among your many action roles and all the exciting, crazy filming you do you still get to tread the boards now and then?
I haven't in I don't know how long it's been, but no, I've been very screen based over the past few years. I think it was the last one I did. Oh, I can't remember. It was years ago. No, I can't remember. I prefer. It probably shouldn't say this, but I would personally prefer screen acting for the nuances. It's because it's different. It's you know, when you're on stage, you have to sort of not exaggerate, but express it. Otherwise, people at the back won't see or hear you. And I sort of like bringing it in a lot more. And also, I like having sort of evidence of what I do. Because you get like little film evidence. And there you go, I did that. I can show my grandkids when I'm like 82. But yeah, I think when you're on stage, it's different. I do. The feeling of being on stage is different because the audience is electric, isn't it? And it's also kind of terrifying. I remember like one of the first time we were on stage, I was like, before I went on, I was the very first person to go on. I was like, what am I doing? Oh my God. And I was like, this is really exciting and it's not dangerous. I'm not going to kill myself. So let's just go. But and you make, you probably bond with the people that you're acting with because you spend, months together rehearsing, so you create like a little family. And then afterwards, when it's all over, you get like the post-theatre blues because you miss everybody. But yeah, I haven't done it in a long time.
So we've got Hannah, who's a screen actress. Is there one role that you think I want to do that, or something that you go, that's what I want to do? That if I had to cap it all off and say I'd done that, leave that behind for the grandchildren, that would be the one. Is there one thing you're sitting there going, I haven't done this yet, want to do that?
Well, I want to be Lara Croft.
Okay.
There was a game I played years ago that, if anyone knows it, it's called Primal, and the character in that was amazing. I think she'd be I think that whole game would be great as a series or a feature film, and I think someone should make it, and I'd love to play that. So that's,
So yeah, any producers and writers
Everybody's saying that,
listening in.
Well, I can help write, but
just to take another thing from everyone else, that you're doing everything, write the theme tune, sing the theme tune, all that kind of jazz. So you write as well.
I do write. Yeah, I write. I've been writing a novel actually for a while. It's kind of like now becoming about 7 novels I'm writing at the same time because it's world building. But yeah, scripts as well. I write scripts. I actually studied script writing at Bournemouth University. So which was because I wanted to do the acting world. So it all ties in, doesn't it? In the end?
It does.
Everything comes together.
It does all link together. So Hannah, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, and I find the world of action fascinating. So as you know, I do a little bit of stunt work, nothing substantial, and I haven't had the pleasure of doing a massive stunt, like leading action role as you have, which is certainly on my bucket list. But just to hear about how it came about and how you manage that alongside doing, for want of a better term, real fighting. It's fascinating, and as I say, enormous thank you for coming on. Now, we always like to end our guest episodes with a bit of an anecdote or a story, and I can only imagine you must have some fascinating and crazy stories, particularly the kind of work that you primarily do. So do you have a little tale or something that you can tell us and our listeners just to wrap everything up?
Oh well, I've got a few stories, but one of them isn't action related at all.
I mean, even better potentially.
Yeah.
Oh well, what can I say? Well, I did a film in India once where I basically got locked up in a room and fed on rice and water for about 3 weeks. So I laugh about it now because I find it, but at the time I think, I had PTSD. It was awful. But it's, I don't know, I think it was just that particular director and his wife were a bit, off the wall because the camera crew, who were all Indian, they were like, this isn't the way things are done. You're basically being held prisoner. I was like, I know. But after they said that, then I wasn't allowed to speak to them. It was awful. And they kept saying to me, oh, when your boyfriend comes over, because he's supposed to be coming over after 3 weeks, then you can go out, then you can leave. And, you can have some freedom because then you're his responsibility. And I was like, when he came, they locked him in the room too. So we had to leave in the middle of the night and run away to Sri Lanka.
You had to escape from a job. That's outrageous.
It's the only time I've ever finished a job.
Couple of little stories. Well, which one shall I go with? I know. How about when I was basically kidnapped and had to flee a country?
Yeah. So action-wise, I accidentally ran over someone's foot once. My friend Mark, but
I mean, I'll be honest with you. If you'd led with that, then we would have gone, oh, what a great story. Now, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
My mind has been blown.
Bonkers.
Absolutely insane. And
I'm still here. I survived.
But yeah, and equally, of all the people to essentially kidnap or look at, someone who is a trained European champion martial artist.
Well, I wasn't back then. That was back in 2017, 2018. So I don't, I wasn't as good with the jiu-jitsu back then. So yeah.
How lucky they were.
Yeah. Couldn't. I mean, maybe now, whenever you stay with someone when you're doing film, you should walk in wearing your medals. I mean, then they know.
And decline the rice. Just no. No rice.
Wow.
Brilliant.
I mean, I'm not often speechless.
Well, I'm sitting here going, I don't know how to follow that. I don't.
What you've done is set the bar so phenomenally high for all future guests. We're going to have to find like an actor in prison or something, or someone real.
I see that. That's going to be our first question to potential guests now. Have you been kidnapped? You haven't.
Yeah.
You
got nothing. You haven't lived.
You haven't lived.
Well, we're going to have to find a whole new segment for when guest episodes finish now, because I think we've just hit the pinnacle. Mental. But Hannah, again, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Eye-opening in more ways than one. And what can we say? I wish you all the very best with the World Championships. Everything crossed, and make sure you get onto the to the training ASAP now that you're back from Cannes and having basically multiple parties and swapping business cards with lots of people. And we eagerly await release of various things. So I Am Rage and Wrath of Dracula. And go on, what else have you got coming out real soon before we?
There's a short Hawks that's coming out soon. There's a screening for that this Saturday. So that's the other one. But yeah, that's the main ones at the moment.
Well, cannot wait to see all of them. And you'll have plenty of premieres to go to, so you're going to have to work that in around training for World Championships and various other things. But Hannah, thank you so much. And,
thank you, Hannah. Brilliant.
We'll catch up again soon. Post World Championships. Fingers crossed.
Thank you very much, guys.
No problem. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Take care, Hannah. Cheers now. Bye. Well, we had to let her go, didn't we? We had to let her go. We couldn't keep her any longer because, I mean, if we'd have done that, it would have been illegal. What a mad story to end on.
I mean, we didn't want to give her like flashbacks and by saying, no, you can't go any. Insane. Absolutely insane.
I just, I've heard of tight recordings and filming schedules, but that is just something else, isn't it?
No.
Just bizarre.
But that aside, how you push that to one side, but what a brilliant guest and what an incredible,
lovely stuff.
Massively busy lady, and representing. I was going to say representing and underrepresent that's really bad English, but basically bringing more light to an area of the industry that does need to push and does need to grow, and very much doing it with style and aplomb and just real passion behind what she does, and rightly so.
I mean, it was good to hear that someone saying, I do this and we want this and I want that. It was very clear statement of intent as well, saying this works, that doesn't work. I'm making this work because I mean, she said she started out acting scenes out with as a 12-year-old with her sister, and fighting her brother to recreate that stuff. Now she's made it real and she's pushing forward. It's good to hear it from the horse's mouth saying, no, we want this, we don't want that. We ladies have fought long enough, literally in Hannah's case.
Exactly.
This is the stuff.
Yeah.
So really good, life affirming stuff.
And hopefully inspiring as well. I mean, I'm not sure what our demographic is like when the show for sort of the younger teenage or even younger women perhaps wanting to get into the industry. Hopefully we do have a few listeners in that sort of realm, and maybe this is the inspiration or the kind of thing they need to hear. And certainly Hannah is so incredibly passionate about passing that on as well, which is highly important.
Yeah.
I mean, the podcast exists not just to entertain us, obviously, but to entertain others, but equally, hopefully, to inspire and to help generate awareness and kind of go, everyone can do everything to an extent. And anyone, if you have a desire or a dream or whatever, there's no reason you shouldn't chase it. And look at the success stories we have on the people who start out young in music and end up doing massive gigs, or the people who love doing a bit of performing at school and then end up touring and doing shows in the West End. And equally Hannah, who, as you say, sort of recreated things with her siblings, like be that fighting or movie clips or whatever, and has now gone on to create this incredible career of it. Yeah.
And fingers crossed, a future world champion.
Well, I mean, yeah. Not a lady to be messed with, but
not a lady.
A wonderful guest to have on Drewling Samantics.
Absolutely. Brilliant stuff.
And somehow, Drew, we've got to follow that up next week with us.
I don't know how we're going to do it, mate. No.
Do you want me to come around and lock you in the cupboard and tell you you're not allowed to leave for a while? I don't think it has quite the same ring to it, does it?
Not really. No. I mean, it depends on your rice cookery is, mate, because,
Yeah. Bad, in a word. Yeah. Water I can do, no problem.
So, in that case, mate, I will probably just see you here on the sofa in the studio, and we'll just do it as usual, mate. I think
I'm sure we'll find something to chat about that's nowhere near as entertaining as Hannah, but people might still want to tune into anyway.
Yeah. Let's do it.
I'll drink to that.
Cheers, mate.
A pleasure as always. Everyone, thank you for joining us. Thank you again to the wonderful Miss Hannaj Bang Bendz. Just a stunning guest, as we are lucky enough to often have.
All the time.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And then next week, you and me, Sam. How about that?
You and me, mate. You and me. Let's do it.
See you later, all. Take it easy.
Cheers, Sam. Take it easy, everyone.
Thanks again for watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
Please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.
Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. And please support us on social media. All our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so why not share with your family and friends so they can join in too? Thanks very much. See you next time.